SquareHammer.
What is going on, everybody? It's Kyle from SquareHammer. Today, we are doing something High Elven, a little Asuryan. We're going to do a book comparison between the 8th edition High Elf book, and we're going to do it in comparison to the 9th edition Warhammer Armies project, similar to what Blue did for the Empire book review a couple of weeks ago. Today I've got Adam with me. What is going on, Adam?
Hey, it's great.
You, amongst other things, you've been one of our longest supporters, and you run the monthly painting competition on our Facebook group. If you if you don't know about that and you want to participate, please join our Facebook group and hunt down Adam. He will be more than happy to help.
Yeah, between me and my wife, we call it the monthly panic competition, because usually about 2 days before anything's due, I'm sat panic painting. But I've missed 1 month this year. I've missed December, thanks Christmas and children. But 11 months out of 12 is not bad.
Yeah, well, you know, what can you do? 11 out of 12 months. I mean, that's not bad.
No, I've finished my undead army. Started with 0 points painted in February and got 3,750 pointed in a year, so I'm happy.
I don't think you should be upset about that. So for High Elves, I've played High Elves on and off. They were my first army. I would not call myself an expert in 8th edition because they weren't my main army. But I've played them on and off since 5th edition when I started. What about you? How much High Elf history do you have?
They have been my main army since 5th edition through to the end times. So they were that for me every edition.
Got it. So suffice to say, you've got a little bit of knowledge. And
yeah,
you said you've got like 15 or so games under your belt in Warhammer Armies projects rules, right?
Yeah, currently got about 15 games under my belt with WAP.
Good.
Keeping up to date on the Discord is always fun.
Sure. So Adam's got the upcoming changes. We'll go over those as we kind of hop through this book, and maybe we should just get started.
Yeah.
So the first special rule for this book that got added in is a 6-up dodge, which is a 6-up ward save in close combat, as long as your enemy does not strike you before you do. This doesn't really have a 1-for-1 kind of rule in 8th edition, so it's entirely new. I don't mind this. I think it's a good rule. What do you think?
It's a ward save. I'm not going to say no to a ward save.
Sure.
It's
yeah. Pretty much every elf in the book has this rule, right? And it does not count for cavalry or chariots or anything.
No, no, you've got to be on foot.
Okay. And just like any other ward save, it stacks with your parry save. If you have a parry save, it stacks with regen if she can somehow get regen, and it can also be increased from things like lore attributes for lore of high magic, for example. Yeah,
which most of my opponents so far keep forgetting and then hate me by the time close combat phase hits.
Sure. Okay, so maybe we can talk about that more as we get into this book. Martial prowess.
Yep.
This was a rework. So previously you got to re-roll. Nope, sorry, not martial prowess.
Fight in extra ranks.
That's right. Martial prowess, you used to get fight in extra ranks. Now you re-roll hits of 1 in close combat. What do you think? Would you rather have that or fight in extra ranks?
I'd rather have the reroll of all the hits from Always Strike First, but that's another matter. But
that's great.
But if I get anything, at least rerolling to hits of 1s isn't too bad. I'd rather have the extra rank.
Yeah, sure. I'd rather have the extra rank and rerolls.
Well, yeah. Thank you, 8th edition.
So this rule not only replaces the fighting extra ranks and shooting extra ranks that High Elves used to have, but it also replaces the old always strikes first. So just now in combat, you reroll once. And there are no units in the army book that don't have this rule, right? Aside from cavalry.
I think it's just the mounts that don't get it, but all the elves get it. For me, from 8th edition, for example, I used to always run my elves in 7 wide.
Yeah.
Because that extra rank just basically gave me the horde rule.
Sure.
In smaller units, so it means you could take on a horde and not have to worry. In WAP, I'm finding myself going 5 wide, 5 or 6 wide most of the time because I'm missing that extra rank now, and I don't really want to have too much frontage for the big heavy hitters to get in. Things that most of my common opponents are Chaos players or a Dark Elf player, and it is an uphill struggle for High Elves in WAP against Dark Elves.
Always has been.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, then we got Valor of Ages. If your opponent's army contains one or more models from the Dark Elf range, models with this special rule, reroll, failed panic, and have immunity to fear.
So the immunity to fear is new.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love it. Suddenly makes a lot of the things like Cold Ones and Cold One chariots not as scary.
Mm-hmm. And so it used to be, I'm just trying to cross-reference it. So it used to be that you reroll all panic, fear, and terror tests.
Yeah.
Well, immunity to fear is obviously better than that in and of itself, yes. And then the failed panic test on top of that is nice. So immunity fear means that, like, when you get charged by a big Dark Elf dragon or a Hydra or something, for example, you don't have to take that terror test, right?
Yeah, it knocks it down to just a fear test, which means they get the automatic +1 combat resolution.
Yep.
I could deal with that. It's at least my unit's not running away.
That's true. Well, and what did Dark Elves? Dark Elves still get hatred, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't put salt in that wound.
All right. But we get Elven bows and long bows. They all have armor piercing 1. I love that. That's good.
Beautiful. Love it. It's finally brought the High Elf archers in line with the with crossbows.
Yeah. Then we have Lilith's Blessing, which is +1 to all dispel attempts. This used to be +1 to all casts from Lore of High Magic.
Yep.
So I would say that Lilith's Blessing, kind of with the way that magic was reworked and the magic levels and how they impact your dispelling, I would say Lilith's Blessing is arguably better now. Is that true?
Yeah,
or
a lot better.
Yeah,
a lot better. It means you can bring a level 2 High Mage, and he's competing with a level 4.
Sure.
When it comes to dispelling, because they only get the +2, you only get the +1, and with the +1 bonus from Lilith's Blessing, you're now competing with those high-level mages, and you don't have to worry if your Archmage has blown himself up halfway through the game.
Do you find yourself ever missing the +1 to cast with Lore of High Magic?
Occasionally. I did quite like to use the old trick of level 2 High Mage, and suddenly he's a level 3 caster.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd forget that rule halfway through a game if you're stressed, so the +1 to dispel is all around a lot better.
All right. Well, then we've got Ithilmar Barding, which is the Elven Barding equivalent, which is just a 1-up, or it gives +1 armor save.
Yeah.
And you've got an upcoming change for that, right?
Yeah, Matthias, thank the dice gods for him, realised he'd missed out the no penalties for movement for Ithilmar Barding. So he's finally adding it back in when he gets around to updating the High Elf book. For anyone that isn't aware, you can keep a record of any upcoming changes to Warhammer Armies projects on their Discord group underneath the channel Upcoming Changes.
It is true, and it is constantly updated. There's all on that Discord for sure. Okay, well, let's do this. I'm going to jump. We're going to talk about the Lore of High Magic now.
Okay. I will scroll and find it because I cannot remember what page it's on.
It is on page 201.
Perfect.
All right, so lore attribute. Every time a spell from this lore is cast, the unit gains a 6-up ward save, which can be stacked with other castings, thanks to this lore attribute, until the beginning of the caster's next magic phase. So previously it was capped at. This is very similar to previous editions, or 8th edition, but in 8th edition it was capped at a 3+ ward save. Could never get better than that. And just because of the base rules from Warhammer Armies Project, you can no longer get better than a 4+ ward save.
Yep.
But I still think it's a wonderful lore attribute.
It's one of the better ones.
Yeah. Especially since the casting costs of the lore are not very high. Like, lower.
Well, out of 8 spells, there's only 3 of them that go above a 10. So it's you're not going to struggle to get that ward save.
So the first, and it's also one of the few lores that have 2 signature spells. One is Drain Magic. This goes off on a 7, and you pick a unit, friend or foe, within 24 inches, and you either remove all of the hexes off of your unit if you cast it on your unit, or all of the augments off of the enemy unit, including remains in play.
So I found with the way WAP magic works, I very rarely only get the low level off. I'm usually always getting the boosted, which is affects all units within 12 inches. I found casting this first doesn't destroy the rest of my magic phase. As when I first started playing WAP, I'd try and cast this last, which was the way you used to do it in 8th, just to get that cheeky ward save boost. And then I'd wipe out all my own augments, which was a bit of a bum. But
well, we don't want that. All right, so that actually makes sense. I had not contemplated that. So if you spend your whole magic phase buffing up your stuff, and then you're trying to get a drain magic off at the end, and you accidentally roll more than a 14, whether it's because of exploding 6s or you just dice really high, you throw out a 12-inch bubble.
Yep, you kick yourself in the nuts.
Yeah, which is actually a decrease. It used to previously be an 18-inch bubble.
Yep. But it was extremely good as an 18-inch bubble because you could have the way I used to do it was run a High Elf Mage on a steed or an eagle, and then just have him flying around, get near combats, and pop that off, and take away all the augments on hexes on those units in combat. And then
makes sense.
It would be very effective because the enemy would have to spend an effective turn taking unit to get him.
The next signature spell is Soul Quench, and it is identical. No, it's not. Sorry. The boosted version used to inflict. Well, okay, so the base spell is 2d6 strength 4 hits in the form of a magic missile. And the boosted version is 3d6 strength 4. As opposed to 4d6 strength 4 in 8th edition. Still goes off on an 8 and boosts on a 12 in WAP and on a 16 in 8th. So it took a little bit of a nerf with the boosted version, but the casting cost went down. That's fine.
You get them both for free. For a free 3d6 strength 4 magic missile.
No problems with that. Apotheosis goes off on a 5. You can reliably 1-die this if you take a look.
Yep.
So you pick a target. They gain D3 lost wounds. No, sorry. Regains a single lost wound. If you cast the boosted version, it's D3. And you cause fear until the next magic phase.
Yep.
I liked this spell in 8th. Just comparing it to Swamp and it went off. So the boosted was always on a 10, and it does exactly the same thing. I like it a lot better in WAP than I do in 8th because fear actually does something.
Yeah, that +1 combat resolution can really swing a combat. I mean, especially if it's in a unit, if you target characters in a unit that will outnumber the opponent, it can really, that +2 combat res after fear and outnumbering. Mm-hmm. It's glorious.
What about the next one, Hand of Glory? This goes off on a 5 still. It's an augment with a range of 18. It's like the reverse Melkoths.
Yeah, in 8, I'd pray for this with my high magics. In WAP, I'm just as happy to get it. I'll take it.
This spell is just, it's amazing.
Yep.
Pick one of your characteristics, either movement, weapon skill, ballistic skill, or initiative, and you increase it by D3, and it is a 5 to cast. If you want to boost it to a 10+ to cast, it's D3 for all of those. So if you spike your dice, you go +3 movement, +3 weapon skill, +3 ballistic skill, +3 initiative. Anything you cast this on will be happy to get it.
Well, yeah. And each one of them has a different thing. So the movement, you can, if you cast it on a unit and you know you're going to win that combat, and it's steadfast, and it only get 2 of the dice out of 3, and you boost that movement enough, you're suddenly going to 3 dice instead of the 2.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And that can catch your opponent out. The initiative, you're always going to get your Elven Grace.
Mm-hmm.
Weapon skill, easy enough to figure out, and ballistic skill's the same. Putting ballistic skill on Sisters of Avelorn, it's horrible. Your opponent will not like you and probably won't talk to you for a couple of days after.
Oh, your opponent, needs to lighten up. And on top of the fact that you're getting the spell off, if you're casting it on yourself, you get the lore attribute.
Yep. So it's on the Elven Grace, especially if it's on a unit with shields, you're suddenly getting that 4-up ward.
Yeah.
Because you get the lore attribute, you get the shield parry, and you get the Elven Grace.
It's nice. All right, you want to walk us through the next one?
Walk Between Worlds. Yeah. So it's an augmented spell. It targets a single unengaged unit within 24 inches. The target gains the ethereal special rule until the end of the phase and can immediately move up to 10 inches as if it were in the remaining move subphase. The wizard can choose a more powerful version, the boosted version. Again, gain the ethereal special rule, but you can move 20 inches. Now in 8th, this was spectacular.
Yeah.
In WAP, just as good. The ethereal special rule, you can do some really nasty tricks with that when you suddenly appear out of sides of buildings with cavalry units, or that bit of dangerous terrain, or a bit of terrain your opponent thinks their unit is safe behind, and pop, you're suddenly in front of it with no dangerous terrain tests, and your opponent's suddenly going, oh, does that what War Between Worlds does? And the thing to remember, the lore attribute. So even though they lose the ethereal, they suddenly have a ward save.
Now, is there a material difference really between Walk Between Worlds and like the Hand of Gork?
The ethereal.
Is the ethereal the only thing? I mean, it's pick up a
Hand
unit,
of Gork,
put it down.
And Hand of Gork in the upcoming changes can only affect a unit once.
Oh.
So your Orc Shaman currently do Conga Line, which was what they were previously doing, where you suddenly have an Orc Shaman just casting Hand of Gork with that lovely magic item they have.
Yeah,
now they can't do that. Yeah. Now they can't do that.
Okay. So then we got Tempest. This goes off on a 12+. The direct damage large round templates that scatters d6. Models hit take a strength 4 hit, and if you have fly, it's a strength 4 hit. If you take any wounds, you take a -1 to all to hit rolls until the start of the next magic phase. Well, the caster's next magic phase. If you don't use ballistic skill, you have to roll a 4+ before shooting, so like your cannons and stuff. If I recall correctly, this is identical to 8th edition, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't noticed any changes to it. Dwarf gun lines still hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Arcane Unforging.
I love this
one of
spell.
my favorite spells.
It
You want to
can
go
make
through
opponents. Yeah, it can make opponents extremely salty. So Arcane Unforging, direct damage spell. Range of 24 inches, targets a single enemy character, even if they're in a unit. So it technically has the sniper special rule. The target suffers a single wound which ignores armor saves and a dice roll greater than or equal to the model's unmodified armor save. Chaos Lords hate this.
Yeah.
Excluding natural armor, models with an armor save cannot be wounded. The owning player must then reveal to the caster all magic items possessed by the target, if any. The target has one or more magic items, randomly select one of them. The item is immediately destroyed on the roll of the 2 up. It cannot be used for the rest of the game. Note this spell has no effect on magic items that are mounts, magic items that count as bound spells that have miscast during the game, or any magic items labelled as one use only that have already been used. Do not include those when randomly selecting. I try and use this frequently. Most opponents who have had it happen to them once will immediately dispel it with vengeance. I have once in my career in 8th edition got Arcane walking naked across the board.
Just once?
Just once. My opponent didn't let me do it after that.
I can't imagine why.
Kept ignoring it, thinking it wouldn't be a problem for Arcane. But poor boy ended up just on the back of his horse, striding towards me in his birthday suit.
All right. So this has not changed one iota from...
No, not at all.
It was great in 8th edition. It's great now.
Still a very powerful spell.
Yep.
13 to cast, so a bit more difficult in WAP, with restrictions on the amount of dice you can use, and you have to have a level 3 to take this.
Mm-hmm.
As well as, but then exploding 6s. So it swings in roundabouts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got Fiery Convocation. This is again a spell that has not changed at all from 8th. No. It's a direct damage 24-inch, remains in play, which is the most crucial part of this. And it's a strength 4 hit for everything in the unit. So
with flaming.
With flame. Well, yeah, with flaming. So this is the answer to all hordes of lightly armored infantry. It's the answer to Skaven, Dark Elf,
anything with regeneration.
Elves. Anything with regeneration. Good point. Humans. Really, this is an answer for a lot of things, and it's a remains in play. So every magic phase, the entire unit is taking a strength 4 hit with flaming. And it goes off on a 19, so your opponent has to really invest a lot of dice in it to dispel.
But same for you. You also have to invest a lot of dice in it. And with high magic, to get the best out of it, you really want to be getting more lower cost spells off to get those ward save boosts.
It's true.
So it's a difficult one.
It does seem a little contradictory to what the lore attribute wants you to do, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess maybe
really wants to boost your own units.
Yeah. But in WAP, in order to get access to the spell, you have to invest in a level 4.
Yep. You can't just hope for a random roll.
Yeah. But I don't know. I always liked Fiery Convocation. It kind of gives you some addition. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility in the high magic lore anyway. Between the movement augments and the Hand of Glory and a little bit of healing and a little bit of magic defense.
The only thing high magic misses is a hex. It shouldn't focus on a hex because it's meant to be the good side of magic. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you look at the Dark Elf, Dark Magic, they're a lot heavier in the hexes.
That's true. Okay, so High Magic and WoP versus High Magic in 8th edition. Overall nerf or overall buff?
Same, really. I've been playing around with it for a lot of time now. I've not really seen a huge difference. Still good. I still try and take at least to level 2 with High Magic in my games. They're still useful. Yeah.
Are you
if you can pull off the hand
mostly for the lore attribute?
Yes, kind of. But you can do a really nasty trick with a unit of Dragon Princes and a level 2 mage with Walk Between Worlds. You're suddenly popping through terrain with a unit of 10 Dragon Princes, with a Prince and a Mage, with that boosted ward save, with Hand of Glory off. You suddenly have very salty opponents because you basically got yourself a Black Knight unit that's just charged through a building at someone. It's behind enemy lines. You've just marched it up through the middle of the board, right at that big piece of terrain in the middle. They've tried to go round and thinking you've screwed up majorly, and you pop off Walk Between Worlds, pop through the other side, turn and face their rear, and they're suddenly very, very salty.
Yeah, I would be. Okay, so let's go back to the unit entries. So on page 139 is when we get into the lords.
Yeah. Commanders.
Yeah. So we have the princes and nobles, which to me don't look like they've changed too much. You still have high weapon skill, high ballistic skill, strength 4, toughness 3, 3 wounds, initiative bajillion, 4 attacks.
Yeah.
On the lord, and I think the exact same stats for a noble in WoP as opposed to 8th. They have dodge. They reroll 1s and
they're not scared of High Elves. Yeah, they're scared of Dark Elves. Sorry.
What did you think? Did you take princes and no? Obviously, everybody took a noble, but did you take princes much in 8th?
I love fluff lists, so I would frequently take a Lord on a Star Dragon because Calador list. Why not?
Because Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon. That's why I was into High Elves from 5th edition, and then 7th edition gave me multiple dragons, and I may have cried. But yeah, they've still got all the options they have from 8th. You've still got all the weapon options, but to be brutally honest, most people took great weapon in 8th as an option, or lance if you're mounted. You're normally going to replace your armor with dragon armor. You come with standard with a hand weapon and medium armor. Everything else you have to buy. Point of note in WAP, you need to be aware if you want to buy that magical heavy armor, you need to pay for the standard heavy armor to unlock the magical heavy armors.
So, like, if I wanted to take the Armor of Destiny, for example, you've
got to pay 3 points beforehand. Yeah, you've got to have the heavy armor to get the magical options.
Yeah. So in 8th edition, a prince came in at 140 points, and in Warhammer Armies Project, they come in at 125.
Cheaper. Happy days.
Well, I'm not gonna argue with it.
Right, Dragon's still ridiculously expensive, but that's fair.
Okay. Nobles are now 60 points in Warhammer Armies Project, and they were previously 70, so they also came down in price, and they've got the exact same rules as a prince, and you will probably still see one in every single army.
Yeah, right. especially with the revised magic items. Yeah, you tend to see these guys with the magical bows hiding in units and being really horrible.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to wizards, we have the Archmage, which is your level 3 and 4 wizard.
Yep.
Looks identical to 8th edition. Comes in at 185 points in 8th edition versus
Same in WAP.
Okay. So you get the 6-up ward, which is very easy to get to higher if you.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, it saves you from having to buy a Talisman of Protection or Talisman of Endurance. Or
it can be good just to buy a small one anyway, because it does boost. So buying the 6-up ward save one, if you've got the higher initiative, always means you have a 5-up ward save base. Especially if you plan on being mounted. I tend to take my wizards on mounts. So having the 5-up ward save magical item, Talisman of Endurance, is always a good idea, because then your mount has a 6-up one.
Gotcha.
And if you pop up some high magic.
So you still have access to all 8 main lores of magic, as well as high magic.
Yep.
Lilia's Blessing, Martial Prowess, and Valor of Ages. Now, I didn't say this early when we were talking about the way that Lilia's Blessing has changed, but really you only benefited from that in 8th edition if you took the lore of high magic. It is nice that it applies just kind of across the board
to everything now. It's beautiful. As another note, mount options for the Archmage have brought back the Unicorn.
So what does the Unicorn do in Warhammer Armies Project? The magic resistance and little tank.
Yeah, it gives you magic resistance and impact hits. If I remember correctly. Yeah, Impale, which is the impact hits. It has magic resistance 2, which is if his unit gets targeted, that's automatically 2 extra free dispel dice. And a bonus ward save. So if he's on a Unicorn, he comes with a 5-up ward. For a point of view, the difference of that, a mounted steed with barding is 27 points. The Unicorn's 50. So you're paying 23 points for an impact hit, increased impact hit with the Impale, and a ward save. And extra dice.
I don't know. A wizard on a Unicorn in a Dragon Prince unit to give them ward save sounds pretty nice.
It is very nice. You've got to pay for it. It's 50 points.
50 points. What's it cost normally? 35 points to give MR2? In the
it's the lodestone, obsidian lodestone.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
So
I'm not going to lie. All the way through edition, my Archmage had the same 2 items: the Book of Hoeth and the Talisman of Preservation. It was the auto include when you played
is the Unicorn
Archmage, Book of Hoeth, Talisman of Preservation. There you go. Just add 100 points onto him straight away.
Yeah. Well, I mean that was how you did it.
Yeah, he stopped High Elf players doing that by increasing the points of the Book of Hoeth. Can't do that anymore.
Is the Unicorn toughness 4?
I'll have to check.
You could have a toughness 4 wizard.
It is. Yes, it is. Strength 4, toughness 4.
Yeah. All right.
Initiative 5, wounds 2, attacks 2. It's got wounds 2. It's a war beast.
Okay. Moving on. We have Dragon Mages.
A quick note back on the prince as well, though. Sorry. They also now included the mounts Pegasus, so you can use your old 5th Ed Pegasus Lord. Yay. With the really angry Pegasus. Angriest Pegasus model in existence. And they can also now be mounted on a lion chariot, which is nice. Yes.
So Dragon Mages, which are just hero level wizards on the little baby dragons, right?
The High Elf army of every 7th edition Nurse Dreams was the Star Dragon Mage combo. In gameplay in 7th, it was terrible. Because the Star Dragon's just not that tough.
Well,
Sun Dragon, sorry.
Sun Dragon comes in with Strength 5, Toughness 5, 4 attacks. The big thing is fly and 5 wounds and a breath weapon.
As a note of the upcoming changes, WAP has now given individual fly movement to all flyers. So after the fly rule, you'll have a bracket. For dragons, that is fly 7. So they're not that fast.
Really? Fly 7?
To put that in perspective, a Pegasus is fly 9.
Okay, so they fly, but they're slow.
They're slow, big heavy beasties.
Okay. Well, so these guys come with all of the 3 normal things. You get Lilia's Blessing, you get the reroll ones. The Mount doesn't, but the Mage does, and you get the Dark. You get a free power dice when you are casting fire magic, right?
Yep.
And
yeah, reckless. So when the Dragon Mage casts a spell, they get a free power dice. This can trigger both unlimited power and miscast.
Yeah. And you get +2 to cast Flaming Sword or Ruin. So you cast this as if you were a level 4. Yep. But that gets on top of your innate +1 to cast, right? So are you casting that spell at a +3?
So yeah, as a level 2 Dragon Mage, which they can be, they come as level 1 as standard, but you can make them level 2. So you at +1 as standard, and then you're at +3 with this if you're casting Flaming Sword of Ruin, which is better than what an Archmage can do because they can only do +2. So apparently, being a very angry boy on the back of a very angry dragon helps cast very angry spell.
So these guys used to be 350 points in 8th
They are
edition.
now 325.
Okay.
Obviously, you're probably going to take the 35-point upgrade for level 2.
Yeah.
You used to have to take it in 8th because then you'd actually get a chance of having more spells than just Flaming Sword. But it's not such a priority in WEP because you always get Fireball for free. So you also then get Flaming Sword as your level 1 spell because why wouldn't you? And then just have fun and pick what you want for level 2 and cause mayhem in your opponent. I find the Flaming Cloak is always a good choice.
Cascading Fire Cloak.
Yeah.
Is level 2 can't get Flame Cage, right?
No.
I think that's
too high.
I think that's level 4 spell. Or
Yeah.
maybe 5. Okay.
It's the 4th.
So Archmages got better, or Dragon Mages got better.
Yeah, you can do that Coward or list that actually works now, as cannonballs are no longer sniper rifles.
That's right. And you can make your dragon, you can protect your dragons a little bit.
Yeah, you can. Happy days.
Okay, we have a Mistweaver. This is a new unit to Warhammer Armies project, but it uses, I think this is an AOS model, right?
The model's AOS, but the Mistweaver was actually first seen in Storm of Chaos for 6th edition.
Oh, see, look at you, fountain of knowledge over here.
For High Elves, like, ask me a question about Chaos, I'll look at you, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So, a Mistweaver, movement 5, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 3, 2 wounds, initiative 6, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and you have access to Mist Magic.
Worst name ever.
So, Mist Magic, you have 2 spells and a signature.
Yep.
The signature spell goes off in a 7, range 24, hex. The target unit must take a leadership test, and if failed, you fight a round of combat against yourself.
Yep.
See, that doesn't sound bad at all.
Plague monks really hate it.
I'm sure they do. Then we have the Writhing Mists, cast on a 7, remains in play. Always love to see remains in play. There's an augment spell, 24-inch range. All enemy attacks target at the unit are -1 to hit.
Yep.
I mean, I love that. And then you have Mistress of the Deep, cast on a 9, another remains in play. Place an appropriate marker, no larger than 1 inch in diameter, to represent the Oceanid within 6 inches of the wizard. So you have to place a token 6 inches within 6 inches of the wizard.
Yep.
Whenever an enemy unit wishes to fire upon or declare a charge against a unit in your army, it must first measure the distance to the token. If the token is closer to the target unit, it must make a leadership test, and if failed, the unit is distracted and the attack or charge is not performed. If the test is passed, no token will have any effect against that unit for the rest of the game, and has no effect against units with immunity to psychology. Goodness gracious, what a spell with so many caveats and words.
For a 9 up to cast?
For a
That
9
is
to cast.
brutal.
So you pick a point 6 inches within 6 inches of you, and whenever a enemy wants to do anything effectively to your unit, it has to take a leadership test.
Yep.
Or it can't do anything at all.
Can't do anything. Now, I'm from Denmark, so I appropriately got the statue of the Little Mermaid to use as my Oceanid, because Denmark. So I always place that 6 inches in front of my Sea Guard unit when my Mistweaver is hiding, and then laugh as the fast cavalry can't come after them. And then you just shoot that fast cavalry until it goes away.
This is a hero level character?
Yep, she is 85 points.
Boys, go get yourself a Mistweaver.
Oh yeah.
So you have options to increase her wizard level to level 2.
Yep, and take magic items.
You can take magic items. She can be your general. She can only take hand weapons.
She's there to do magic. She's not there to fight.
So how many times have you taken one of these in your life?
Twice. I've only recently got her painted up.
And you would recommend everybody try her out? Yeah,
try her out. Try the Oceanid, the Mistress of the Deep spell out. It is fun.
Seems
the Writhing Mists. The Writhing Mist remains in play. That -1 to hit penalty can swing a combat. Especially if you've got your Mistweaver paired with a mage with high magic, and you've got Hand of Glory off on yourself, and then you've got this off on the enemy. It swings combat.
It would be cool to try this out with Lower Shadows too. Yeah,
I've not tried that combination yet. In 8th edition, I always ran Shadow or Life. They were my go-to for my Archmages. I've tried Life in WAP. I've tried Fire, Metal, High. I've not tried Shadow yet, but I've mainly been fighting Dark Elves and Chaos, so I've not really had an opportunity yet, or a need to. I'm about to go up against an Ogre player, so I think Shadow will hit the table pretty quickly.
Well, I love magic that makes the person I'm playing against uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I can see all of these spells being scary.
Yeah, they're horrible.
I mean, that signature spell. I mean, what's is it a Zinch spell, Treason of Zinch? Which is essentially the same thing, right? Except there's no leadership test.
Yeah, I don't know a Treason of Zinch. I've only ever had it cast on me once. The 2 demon players I have near me are Khorne and Nurgle exclusives.
Well, okay, moving on. Another new unit. Now, I have tried this one.
Yeah, me too. I love him.
Yeah, so this is the Lord of Aenarion, which is just an angrier prince. But that
he's a high elf on steroids who really should be left at home, but for some reason he just follows the army to battle.
So he's weapon skill 8. He has picked up an extra initiative, I believe, and an extra attack.
I've got the prince in front of me here. So he's got 1 more weapon skill. one more initiative, one more attack, but everything else is the same. The thing of note here, really quickly, is looking at his special rules. He gets the Elven Grace, the Martial Prowess, and the Valor of Ages. He gets Hatred, Forces of Destruction, which is just amazing. And then Frenzy. This guy base has 6 attacks. He's standing up there with the amount of attacks with things like Vampire Lords and Chaos Lords and just laughing at them.
And
but he's still an elf, so he's still only toughness 3.
So he's also got battle trance. So if he's in base contact with a friendly unit, he's got to take a leadership test at the start of any round of combat he's involved in, or else he makes an attack on every model in base contact.
Yeah, that sucks.
But he's leadership 10. I mean, it doesn't happen that often, right?
The Dark Elf player I play against has figured out really quickly that if he lowers his leadership, he starts killing his own guys.
Bastard.
So now I tend to run him just outside cavalry units and charging at the same time, because his only option for mount is a barded warhorse, barded steed. If you want to be really nasty, because he comes with a hand weapon and heavy armor standard, you can take additional hand weapon and have 7 attacks, strength 4. If you want to be a real, there's always great weapon. Polearm is one of the better options, because great weapons and WAP I have mixed feelings about, because that +2 strength on the first turn is great, and it goes to +1 strength after that, but you're paying for that. Whereas a polearm is a consistent +1 strength.
I was always a huge fan of polearms anyway.
Yeah, me too. Innate, they're amazing. But polearms don't have the negative initiative modifier, so there's not a chance I'm ever going to lose my Elven Grace, which can save your backside.
Speaking of saving backside, why don't you tell me about the Curse of Aenarion?
Ugh. As soon as a model with this special rule is reduced to 1 wound, he gets a 3-up ward save for the rest of the battle. This has no effect on attacks that would outright kill him before he's reduced to 1 wound, like a spell or attack multiple wounds special rule. If you were to suffer multiple wounds in a single phase, roll 1 save at a time for each wound suffered until his ward save takes effect.
So what happens if you get down to 1 wound and then you regrowth yourself? Do you keep that 3-up ward?
This is a currently great debate in the Discord channel, with all High Elf players screaming yes at the top of their lungs and everyone else screaming go back to your hole. Rules as written? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to still have friends? that's the question on that one.
Well, all right. So this guy's just a big frenzied beat stick, and once he gets to 1 wound, he's tough to kill.
He does have access to 100 points of magic items, and this is the guy you want to look at putting that big point sword on, because you don't have to waste the points on a ward save.
Yeah. How do you like to use him? Did you say you put him on a steed and put him on princes, or
I put him on a steed and put him in a unit of dragon princes and charged him face first into enemies. They're expecting a prince, and then suddenly when this beat stick appears, it can take people back on the back foot pretty quickly. He's really good. Hatred of Forces of Destruction, re-rolling all those attacks on the first turn. He's not scared of taking challenges. You've just got to be careful on who you challenge and making sure you can kill them quicker than they can kill you. Because that toughness 3 won't last long.
But this big guy comes in at... He's not cheap. He comes in at 185 points before any armor or weapons.
He's 60 points more expensive than the Prince. But for that, you're getting the hatred, you're getting the frenzy, you're getting the additional stat boosts. You are getting the battle trance, which is a negative. And I love seeing a negative on a model. I love negative rules. I think they're one of the best things about fantasy. Any army, give me a good negative rule, I'm a happy man. Animosity for Orcs, Conrad, von Karstein. You give them to me, I'll play them.
You know what I love is that it makes me being a high elf player, you're so used to like the big noble, better than thou kind of thing. But and your models are always so pretty and clean, and put a Lord of Aenarion in your army, and suddenly you've got a bad guy.
Yeah, you've got an angry little teenager with an anger issue. We run very heavy lore lists where we play, so you name your characters, you name your units. So my Lord of Aenarion is a teenager high elf who's having a temper tantrum that his dad said no. So he basically goes out and beats up smaller people to make himself feel better.
Okay. All right, so moving on, we've got dragons. We got 3 types still: Sun, Moon, and Star dragons. They are.
You 7th edition.
Huh?
Before you only had the 1 type of dragon. 7th edition introduced the three Sun, Moon, and Star, and I've been in love with them ever since. But I have a dragon problem anyway, so every dragon model that's been produced by GW I own. And Forge World and several third-party companies.
Okay, well, we got the baby dragon, which is weapon skill 5, strength and toughness 5, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 7, and initiative 4. And then as you get bigger, you get 1 additional weapon skill, 1 additional strength and toughness, wound, attack, leadership, and you lose an initiative for each level. In this version of Warhammer, let me see if I can tell you what they cost.
I've got that. So for the Prince, it's $390 for the Star Dragon. Worryingly, I can tell you that off the top of my head. It's $300 for the Moon and $235 for the Sun.
Okay, so it's the same for the Archmage, except Archmage can't take a Star Dragon.
Yeah, they can only go to Moon, but Moon Dragon's your everyday comer dragon. Everyone has access to those in most of the army books. If you've got a dragon in your army book, it is Moon Dragon stats.
So great thing about Star Dragon is that it cannot get one shot by a cannonball.
But in 8th edition, as my friend James will probably put down in the comments on this, and yes, James, I am quite aware you're probably watching this, he has managed to Orc and Goblin rock catapult my Prince off the back of his Star Dragon turn 1. And he's since made a counter of a smushed Dragon Lord underneath a rock and lovingly displays it on the board whenever I play him. But that doesn't happen in WAP.
I'm sorry.
God. But yeah, fly, natural armor 3 up. You cannot complain about that, because in WAP your armor combines. So your Prince has a 1-up armor save on the back of that dragon. That's before shield or upgrading his armor.
Yep, and that dragon's going to be protected by a ward save if you buy one, right?
Oh yes, you should be buying one.
And one of the biggest kind of changes to the core rules is that the dragon, which has a strength 4 breath weapon, can now use it multiple times throughout the game. It's not just a one-use only.
You now get to relive all those books you've read from Black Library where the dragon comes in and breathing fire on your things, and whereas in 8th edition, all the older editions, you went, I pathetically he's on you once, which I'll save for close combat because it's much more effective. And now in WAP, you can use it again and again and again if you roll that 4 up.
All right, so far, dragons have gotten buffed, I would say.
Yes,
and
beautifully buffed.
A lot of different ways.
Again, the only thing with them now, with the fly rule being changed with the upcoming changes, is that fly 7, so they're not as fast as some of the other flyers. I'll live with it. It's still a strength 7, toughness 7, 7 wound dragon coming after you. You can do what you want. It's going to get you.
All right. Let's move on to some basic infantry. We've got
basic infantry.
A couple of types now. We've got the archers still, which are weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, initiative 5, and leadership 8. They are what? How many points?
In
12
WAP,
points a model.
12 points a model.
And they used to be 10 points a model.
Ow.
So they got hit a little bit with the...
That 2-point upgrade increases for the armor piercing on the longbows.
And the ward save.
Yeah, they come with the hand weapon and the elven longbow and the elven grace ward save. You can upgrade them with full command. As a point with upcoming changes, spearmen units, archer units, warriors, sea guard, and reavers can all take a 25-point magic standard.
Okay.
The unit can also be equipped with either light armor or medium armor. For half a point a model for light armor, which yay brings back bloody percentages in army building, or 1 point for medium armor.
Okay.
1 point to medium armor is not to be overlooked.
In 8th edition, they could only take light armor for 1 point.
Yeah,
so
which you never did. There was no reason to do that.
For 1 point, you get medium armor now. So you get a 5-up. It's not bad for 11 points.
It can save you.
Yeah. Okay. Then we got Spearmen. They are Spearmen in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
Except they did pick up the fight and extra rank special rule,
which they did have in
have spears.
Yeah.
So these guys actually get to fight in 4 ranks.
I think that is purely because they're equipped with the spears. The spears come with an innate fight and 1 extra rank, so it's being quite hotly contested if that fighting an extra rank is from the spear they're wielding or it's an additional fighting extra rank. Well, not been clarified as of yet, and it's causing big debates. I like to argue that they fight in 2 extra ranks because it's an additional rule on top of the weapon rule.
Yeah, I would too.
Because most spear units you see in other books don't have that written there.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be called first amongst equals. Or is that the point in banner points? One of the 2.
It used to be martial prowess was the fight extra rank. Okay, and then we've got a new unit in core, which are just finally sword and board elves.
Well, they're just hand weapon, light armor, and shield. You have to. You can do some really nice things with these guys. Thank you, WAP, for forcing me to go out and buy more warriors.
I love it.
So the entire unit can swap their shields for additional hand weapons for free, and they can also become skirmishers for free.
Yep.
You can upgrade to medium armor if they're using shields. So if you want to go sword and board, medium armor, block of infantry to hold the enemy in place, great, do that. If you want to go for a skirmishing, dual hand weapon, 2 hand weapons, additional attack, little floaty unit just there to annoy your opponent, these are great.
Yeah.
Because that's 8 points a model.
If you play Total War Warhammer, they feel very much like Rangers.
Yeah.
Which is, I love it. And it gives you a way to have some infantry with some with a parry save, which you don't really otherwise get.
It's finally stopping me from staring at my Dark Elf play going, grumble, grumble, bleak swords, grumble, grumble, cheating. Because I can finally do the same to him.
That's right.
Elfhead on Etsy does amazing STL files for these guys, where he's taken the Island of Blood Sea Guard, removed all the sea iconography, and made them look virtually the same and gives you either spearmen or hand weapons. And they look great.
Well, you're going to have to post some pictures of them because I'm going to see them.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll do that as soon as we've finished then.
Okay. All right, so...
We've followed him a while now. He's great.
So now we've got Lothern Sea Guard. They are pretty unchanged, if I remember correctly. They are 14 friggin' points a model now, though, as opposed to 11. But now they come with shields, right?
Yeah, they come with shields, which you don't have to pay for anymore. They've got medium armor instead of light armor.
So
and then you've got the elven bow. So there's still not 30-inch range, it's 24-inch range, but
Yeah. But they do get the double tap if they don't move.
Yep.
Which is great. Yep. And they have a 3-up save against shooting, which is fantastic. Yep. But they effectively got 2 points more expensive a model. And the only thing they've picked up is the ability to double tap.
They're more expensive than your base archers, but if you give your base archers medium armor, they're only 1 point more expensive, and you get a spear and shield.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've been looking at it.
Yeah. So I've always liked Seaguard. I thought they brought a tremendous amount of flexibility. And you can still bring a big unit of them in Warhammer Armies Project if you want to.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, you can if you want to throw some dice, you can roll buckets of dice with Seaguard.
Oh yeah, these are still one of these units that going 10 wide won't hurt you.
Yeah, sure. And then you can slap Hand of Glory on them too.
Oh yeah, I've been using Seaguard with a Mistweaver and a level 1 High Mage, and that combination is naughty.
I believe it.
And now with the current edition of WoW, they're the only ones that can take a magic standard for 25 points. But with the upcoming changes, that also now allows warriors, spearmen, and archers to do the same. Mm-hmm. That was one of the Seaguard's bonuses previously. Previously, they were one of the few that could take a banner. And taking any of the small points banners that gave you fear, why wouldn't you?
The reason, so let me just ask you this. So these guys, they come with spears, right? But they do not have the fight in extra ranks special rule.
Yeah, they don't.
So they would only fight in 3 ranks. I think that's why the spear makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this is where I've been arguing it a few times with people online, where it's like, hey, it isn't in the Seaguard's special rules. It's only in the Spearmen special rules. They get to fight in 4 ranks, not 3. Then the usual argument you get back is, well, they're not wielding pikes. Well, no, but they're highly trained elves.
Much older than you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still in kind of the realm of the Lothern Seaguard, we now have the Lothern Sea Helm, which is the hero Lothern Seaguard dude that comes with the Skycutter chariot kit.
Or otherwise known as the kit that's now cost equivalent of a unicorn poop to buy.
Amazing. He is 55 points. He is, I imagine, down. Yeah, this dude used to be 100 points a model.
Yeah, he did.
So what you get?
You never saw him over the noble. It wasn't worth it in the 8th.
So what you have now is weapon skill, ballistic skill 5, strength 4, toughness 3, 2 wounds, eye 6, 2 attacks, leadership 9. You get all of the normal special rules. You also get naval discipline. A unit of Seaguard containing at least 1 Sea Helm is charged during the movement phase and chooses to hold as a charge reaction. It may attempt to change formation immediately before your opponent has moved any of his charging units, as long as it is not already engaged in close combat. To do so, just take a leadership test, and if passed, you can immediately make a swift reform as described in Warhammer Rulebook. So, a swift reform means you can do what? You can change your facing
and frontage.
And frontage. So you can go from a 4x10 block into a 7x6 and some change.
Yeah, because of the rules.
You can go to getting some additional ranks if you want to, or spread out and get some more attacks if you want to give up your ranks. It just gives you some more flexibility. Have you made any use out of this rule?
Yes, for 55 points, but I always take him at 60 points because you always take that 5-point Elven Bow upgrade because then he gets to shoot with the unit. Yes, when you have them 10 wide and you get charged, for example, with 2 units, you suddenly change that frontage. They are not going to get anywhere near as much output from their units as they would have done. It can really screw your opponent over.
And thought about that.
And it's also really nice for if your archers are facing the wrong way and they're about to get charged at the backside by cavalry, or in the case of beastmen, an ambushing monster. You're suddenly not quite so scared of that Gorgon reappearing behind you thanks to one of the beastman's spells or the ambush special rule. You're suddenly having Sea Guards spin round on the spot and take the charge.
Can you reform in such a way that it makes the charge distance longer for your opponent too? I guess you can, right?
I don't know. I haven't tried. I don't know if that would work because they've already measured and they're already rolling.
It doesn't say that they have after they've rolled. It just says immediately after they've
possibly
declared.
could, yeah. So you could force a fail on the charge.
It specifically says it can attempt to change formation before your opponent has moved.
Yeah, so you could.
So if
I didn't think of that one. That's naughty.
Let's say I'm 10 wide, for example, and then you could reform to get more ranks, but you shrink your frontage so you increase the distance that your opponent could have to charge you. Interesting. Very
so,
interesting.
for example, if you're going 10 wide and he's coming at you from the flank and you suddenly, because you go around the center of the unit, you suddenly go 7 wide and go that way facing, he's then got a lot longer to charge and there's much more chances of him failing, which then gives you a turn to shoot.
Interesting.
And then if he's coming from the front again with another unit, the following turn, you do the same rule again and just turn to face those.
Okay. So you got some rule. All right, he's got another special rule. Wind Rider. If he's mounted, he's got on his Skycutter chariot, he's got a 4 ward against shooting, and he re-rolls failed dangerous terrain tests.
You never mount him. The model looks cool, but why? You want him for the naval discipline rule.
Yeah. Unless you want to put your BSB on a Skycutter chariot, that could be cool. What is this guy changing to? The Skycutter chariot changing to this movement wise?
It is Skycutter chariot is fly 9, but now this is on debate because the fly rule should be -1 with that due to the chariot rule. Because it's the rock that pulls the chariot that has the fly 9, but because it's mounted to a chariot, it technically would have -1 move, being a creature that pulls the chariot, so it will be fly 8.
All right. Well, the Skycutter chariot is a flying chariot that can take a bolt thrower attached to it. If you charge it into combat, it's got impact hits at strength 5, and the rock is a little bit scarier than horses.
You really don't want this thing in combat.
You don't. You really are buying the Skycutter for the bolt thrower if you're going to take it at all.
With the upgrade rules, the bolt thrower is being hit by the nerf stick hard.
Yeah, it used to ignore armor saves, right? And now it does not.
Yeah, it was when they redid the main rule book not too long ago, they removed ignore armor saves for all bolt throwers and replaced it with armor piercing. He forgot about the Skycutter's little bolt thrower, which still used its own personal rules for a while, and now it's finally being upgraded to no longer ignores armor and only having armor penetration 1. So it'll be strength 5, multiple wounds D3, armor penetration 1.
Okay.
So 24-inch range.
This thing comes out of your rare allowance.
Yeah.
Which is kind of garbage.
In 8th, it was special.
And in 8th, it was 95 points, and it went up to 100 points in 9th.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna you're not going to have this without the bolt thrower on it, which is another 25 points.
Yeah. I've used them in theme lists, but they're not that good.
Okay. All right, well,
they were good until the recent upcoming changes. They were really good. That ignore armor was amazing.
Just remembered that it's only 24-inch range too. It's like a mini bolt thrower.
Yeah, it's a tiny bolt thrower.
Then we got something I always
also with the chariot rules as well. It can't fly and pivot. It's got to follow the rules for chariots, so it can't do what you used to do in 8th was fly behind a unit and then just turn it around instantly. Because fly. Matthias got wind of that pretty quickly, and now he's here with the chariot rules, so it can only pivot when it moves. So it's a lot. It's nowhere near as mobile as it used to be.
Okay. Well, next we've got something that always makes me happy, and that is heavy cav in core. Silver helms used to be 21 points a model.
They went up.
They are now what?
22.
22 points a model. They come with shields though.
Yep, which you used to have to pay for.
Yeah, so effectively they are 1 point cheaper than they used to.
Yeah, because you come with a lance, heavy armor, shield, and Ithilmar barding.
Yeah, so they have a 2-up save. And they fight at strength 5 on the charge, plus pick up impact hits now.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, the lance is amazing in WAP.
What were you going to say?
I was just calculating the armor save. I'm nowhere near as fast as it is you are. I have to do all fingers every time.
Heavy armor, shield, barding.
Yeah. In 8th edition, you got a +1 for mounted as well, which is gone for WAP.
Yeah. So yeah, and you picked up the impact hits for just the change for cavalry. So I think that honestly, silver helms are probably in a much better place now than they ever were before.
Oh god, yeah, I've got a bus of 15 of them.
So do
I. Another bus of 10. It's like, why wouldn't you? I do it all based on theme. So if I'm playing a Calador army, all my foot troops are gone. I just take silver helms for core and dragon princes and dragons and just come flying at you as fast as I can. With the upcoming changes, with the Ithilmar barding no longer getting the movement penalty, you're back to movement 9 on your steeds.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Movement 9 elven steeds, marching 18.
Yeah.
Getting the full 3d6 when you charge. These guys fly across the board.
In their core.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. And now they'll be able to take a magic banner, you said?
Yep, 25 points. They could still in the WAP book. They could. They mainly just added warriors, archers, and spearmen to that list, but it just expanded the list. Okay. So these guys take the 25-point magic standard.
Next, we have Illyrian reavers, which are the core still, and they are fast cav. Still movement 9, weapon skill 4, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 5, 1 attack, 8 leadership. They have access to spears, kind of out of the gates, and you can buy for them bows. Is that correct? And medium armor.
Yeah, so standard equipment for the Reaver Knights for 14 points is only a hand weapon and light armor and the mount. You've got to buy the bows, you've got to buy the spears. You can buy shields now. You can buy medium armor and you can buy Ithilmar barding. When I first started playing WAP, I completely forgot that if you increase your armor save past a 5 up, you lose your fast cavalry special rule. Shot myself in the foot several times with that. Yeah, be very, very careful when you're upgrading these guys on what you give them.
So these guys are just keeping cheap and fast and doing the fast cav thing?
Yeah. Because I like to make my models what you see is what you get, I generally tend to upgrade them with Ithilmar barding. Because it doesn't affect the movement anymore. So you get that 5-up armor save for your fast cav. And you can still keep going. Because you've got the light armor. Did you do the same as me when they brought out the Reaver Knights for Island of Blood, and there was that little bit inside you that just went, "Oh dear God, I hope they bring out silver helms," and they never did, and you quietly cried.
I've got 15 of these guys on my desk, ready to go whenever I get around to it.
I've got 2 units of 6 in the cabinet back there, and the unit of 10 silver helms is converted reavers, because the horses are so pretty. Yeah. And I've got 15 of the old 6th edition silver helms with metal 5th edition command, because yeah, my models range from ridiculously old to recently opened.
Okay. So reavers are 15 points base. They used to be 16. And it looks like overall they got cheaper.
Yeah. What gets you is they having to buy all the equipment for them. They get expensive quick.
Yeah. Okay. Decent fast cav all around, and they will get magic banners or no?
Yes, they will. 25 points. So it might be worthwhile sticking that standard bearer in your Reaver unit. Okay. I generally tend to, in 8th edition, I always put musician, always, for swift reforming and doing all the nasty little tricks. In WAP, I'm finding myself putting a champion.
Gotcha.
Just with being able to retest those, not being able to march. There's nothing having your fast cavalry stranded because they can't march that turn.
Mm-hmm. Makes
and
sense.
Just being able to go, yeah, I'm re-rolling that, can save you. So to be fair, they're generally one of the first units that gets sacrificed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, hello, my redirectors, go block that large bus of Chaos Corn units, please. Glory, glory, what a wonderful way to die. Good luck, lads.
Okay.
Yeah, because they can still do it. They can still redirect because they're strength 5 or more unit strength. That in 8th, that used to be the job of a unit that comes later, but not in it can't do it anymore in WAP, that particular unit anymore, because it's not got a high enough unit strength.
And they don't really do a particularly good job of hunting war machines either.
No, war machine hunting is solely taken over by the Shadow Warriors.
All right, let's talk about something that I love now.
I love their lore, but they were so crap in 8th.
But they are not so crap in 9th, and those are Swordmasters of Hoeth.
Yeah, they're amazing.
16 points a model. Comes with heavy armor, which is a 4-up in WAP. Weapon skill 6, so you're hitting most stuff on 3, and you're automatically rerolling 1s. Strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 6, 2 attacks, and leadership 8. But these guys come with great weapons, so you're hitting on 3s, usually wounding on at least 3s. Still before most things even swing, and they've got 2 attacks base, so they're kind of like meat grinders.
Now, when I first went through WAP, the Great Weapon rules, I hit the point where I was worried and concerned because Great Weapon was -2 initiative. And then you hit the Swordmaster's special rule, Swordmaster. Models with this special rule ignore initiative penalties from Great Weapons and gain the dodge 6-up special rule against missile attacks. So they still get the ability to dodge missiles, except templates. So they can still do their horrible trick where they pivot a cannonball off in an opposite direction. And they ignore the initiative penalty. So they're Great Weapon wielding High Elves that are initiative 6. So they still will probably get their Elven dodge.
So they went up 3 points a model.
Yeah, I'll pay that.
And I would say they're worth 16 points a model if you can deliver them to combat.
Yeah, every High Elf player in 8th had Swordmasters because of Island of Blood,
Right.
You never saw them.
No,
they were crap.
They were garbage.
WAP, I've started using them more, and they're really good.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with them.
A little strike force of 10 can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, they can. And there's not a lot that they lose to.
No.
War lions, not war lions. White lions are. They're kind of the opposite. They used to be what you had in every single army. They used to be 13 points a model. Now they are
15.
15 points a model. They used to have a 3-up save against shooting. Now they have a 4-up save against.
Yeah, you used to get a +2 bonus against shooting for White Lion Cloak. Now it's only a +1. Yeah. But you also get the +1. Yeah, it's great. It's still okay. It's not as broken as it used to be.
So these guys are cool because they come at strength 4 base. So you are strength 6. All right. So White Lions, they are strength 6, leadership 9. So they actually picked up a leadership, I think, over previous edition.
Yes, they did.
Which is good. And they're stubborn, which is awesome. And they picked up the reroll 1s now, which they'd previously lost because they had always strikes last great weapons. So on the surface, these guys seem really good to me.
They became very complicated with the Woodsman's Axe rules.
Yeah. I feel like I'm confused a little bit about what their role is.
Yeah.
Because
they're not as good monster hunters as the Swordmasters because of Swordmaster rule.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into these stances a little bit. So each combat phase, you get to pick one of these 3 stances or special rules. You either gain a 6-up parry when you select choose as a charge reaction.
Yeah, if you take hold.
So you gain a 5-up ward save, effectively, the first round of combat.
Well, they don't get the bonuses from the Swordmaster rules, so they will be initiative 3.
Okay, so you retain your 6-up ward save most of the time.
Yeah. Most things.
Fighting anything faster than
go quicker.
A dwarf.
Or an Empire Swordsman who's initiative 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're losing your elven dodge. Yeah.
All right. Then if you charge, you can gain... the enemy unit will be subject to always strikes last. That's good.
It's all right.
But, so always strikes last changed now, right? In 8th edition, always strikes last now does something else. Other than
you automatically strike last in 8th edition. WAP, you reroll all your successful hits.
Yeah, so they are better. I'm sorry. Always strikes last is a worse thing to have in Warhammer.
Oh god, it's horrible. It's horrifying if you get it in WAP.
Yeah. So there, that's decent. Or if you're fighting against monstrous infantry, beasts, or monstrous cav, you gain heroic killing blow in the first round of combat. That's good too.
Yeah.
I feel like White Lions are only good on the charge and against monstrous cavalry, and I feel like they die if they get charged.
They're very situational. They only come with medium armor as standard, so the Lion Cloak basically gives them the exact same save as the Swordmasters, and they don't get a ward save against missile shooting, which the Swordmasters do.
Yeah. And
the one saving grace they have is stubborn.
Yeah, that's true. They die. When they die, they don't flee.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah. And they went up 2 points a model.
They did.
But they picked up a pip of leadership too. So I don't know.
They're very situational.
Yeah, I haven't really tried them out too much.
I've tried them a few times. I'm getting more run for my points from Swordmasters than I am from White Lions.
Mm-hmm.
And remembering which Woodsman Axe rule is applicable in which situation can get a bit tricky. To the point where I advise anyone trying to do it, make yourself a cue card and stick it near the unit.
All right, so if you take a white lion and you put it on a chariot, you have a white lion, or a lion chariot of Crace, which is a movement 8 chariot, movement 7 because chariot.
Yeah.
You get the white lion chariots of Crace. So lion chariots, just like the white lions, they lose the special rules for the Woodman's Axe, but the mounts are strength 5.
On the equipment, they still get the Woodsman's Axe, so they've still got the special rules for it.
Interesting. I wonder how that is.
Because on the special units on White Lions of Chase, they've got equipment Woodman's Axe, but not the special rule.
All right.
So I'd argue they still get it.
Interesting. Okay. So what that means, since you're almost always going to be charging with a chariot, is the first round your opponent's going to be re-rolling to hits against you, or re-rolling successful hits against you.
Yeah, and with weapon skill, weapon skill 5, you're laughing with that.
Yeah. Okay then. You got two great weapon attacks on there. You got strength 5 mounts. You've got strength 5 impact hits. And this chariot will have a 5-up, 4-up save because you get chariot armor.
And then the medium armor on top.
And then the medium armor on top of it. And then you get a 3-up save against shooting because of the lion cloaks, right?
Yeah.
So that's good. It comes out of special, and it used to be 120 points. Oops.
10 points cheaper.
And it's 10 points cheaper now for at 110. So yeah, I could, I see a lot more value in a stubborn chariot than I do in stubborn white lions.
Yeah, I've got more use out of the chariot than I have out of the unit. It used to be the other way around.
Okay. Have you tried these out in
Yeah, they're great in WAP. The 3-up armor save against shooting keeps it alive long enough to do what it needs to do. The impact hits are scary enough on their own, and then the lion attacks followed by the crew attacks is just you're laughing.
So the lions actually have 4 attacks, right? Because they're 2 attacks each. They're like strong.
As a point in their stats, the war lion 2 attacks, so it's 4 attacks general. They are strength 5. They are strong. And they don't have a toughness value because it all goes in the chariot toughness.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as chariots go, these things are nasty.
Yeah.
They're movement 8, and with the chariot rule, they're then movement 7. So they do get the swift stride special rule. So they get 3d6 of those dice when they charge. They move fast. They hit hard. They're going to hit where you want them to hit. And with the Woodsman's Axe special rules, these are far more useful than the infantry unit.
Yeah, and they cause fear.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is a buff in all ways for the White Lion chariots. Okay, next we have Tiranoc chariots, which are the smaller, lighter, faster ones. These used to be 70 points a model. They are now
70 points.
70 points a model. And they used to be unit sizes of 1 to 3 chariots. I believe it's still the same.
Yep, still the same.
Okay, so these are strength 5, toughness 4. 2 charioteers that will hit at strength 5 on the charge because they're mounted with spears, which is odd. That sounds to me like a mistake.
No, they had spears in 8th.
No, I mean the base strength 4.
Yeah, that's one more strength than they had in 8th. You know, pulling chariot, hard work.
We can go with that. Sure. Hey, I'm not gonna get upset about strength.
I am pointing that out to Matthias. I'm not gonna lie.
And what do they come equipped with? Medium armor.
Spear, elven bow, and medium armor. Yeah. So with the chariot's natural 6 up armor save, they're getting a 4 up armor save. So
I have kind of taken the opinion that Tiranoc chariots are big winners in Warhammer Armies Project. I don't have enough of them painted. I only have 1 painted. But because of how 9th edition rules work, I feel like these guys got buffed really, really well.
Cavalry and chariots in general got a huge buff in WAP. Coming from like 8th, they were useless. It was infantry hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Hordes were king. And now WAP, these guys are suddenly useful.
Yeah.
They are only unit strength 4. With the 4
if you take one of them. But
if you take one of them. I've yet to find, because of their base size and width, I've yet to have any much luck with the units of them. Because they're so... But as a mini rocket, they're really good. Mm-hmm. Like, I've tried to experiment with them. I found 3 is just too unwieldy. It's too wide. I'm trying to experiment with 2 and seeing how that's going. Sometimes it's been working in my favour because it's too wide, and sometimes it's just not worked at all.
Yeah, I guess we should ask Tomb King players about how to use units of chariots effectively.
Put a Tomb Prince in them and make them really horrible.
I feel like the units of 3, I guess, have the same problems as units of 3 Tomb King chariots do. Is there a cap at 3 on the Tiranoc chariots? There is.
Yeah, 1 to 3. You can't have a back rank of chariots like you can with Tomb Kings.
All right. But for 70 points, I think they're stellar.
Oh, 70 points, great. It's a pocket of irritation that your opponent has to deal with.
Next. So, Dragon Princes, to me, it feels like they kind of got a nerf.
Really?
Because, well, okay, so they're weapon skill 5.
Yeah.
Strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 6, 2 attacks, leadership 9.
Yeah.
They come with heavy armor.
Yeah.
And immunity flaming attacks, which replaces the 2-up ward save against flaming that Dragon Armor used to have.
And the base 6-up ward save you used to get from Dragon Armor.
And that's right. That's right. And
so
since
that's a
mounted cavalry, they no longer get the dodge. So they lost their ward save entirely.
Yeah.
They are 28 points a model.
In WAP.
In WAP. They used to be 29.
Yep.
They came with a shield. Now
yeah, you lost a lot in WAP.
So I guess maybe they didn't get nerfed. I guess I just find myself not using them as much as I used to in 8th. Maybe it's just
I find myself putting a high magic mage in them and doing the walk between worlds trick. It works once or twice on an opponent, then don't try doing it again because they'll plan for it. But if the Drake Master can no longer take 50 points worth of magic armor or magic weapons, which was always a sneaky little trick for taking on challenges from hero level characters. They can still take a magic stand worth 50 points. That's okay. Dragon armor, nowhere near as good. You've lost that general ward save and that 2 ward save against flaming attacks. Yeah, you're now immune to flaming attacks, but I'd rather take that 6-up ward.
Always. Because it used to be really easy to get that 6-up ward to 4-up ward.
Yeah, super easy.
So I don't know.
I love the models so much, and I have so many of them painted. They need to be fielded. And these guys, led by Lord of Aenarion, is scary.
See, I haven't tried that yet. Maybe I will have to. I feel like because all cavalry is so much better, that having silver helms and core does a lot of the same stuff. Obviously not as good. It's cheaper to do it with silver helms, but it comes out of your core.
Yeah, precisely.
Which maybe that's why I haven't latched on to Dragon Princes like I have silver helms. But I mean,
no, I'm completely with you on this one. Like, you'd be better off spending the points on the chariots. Or one of the numerous other options there is in special, and filling your core out with silver helms instead.
Yeah.
They're doing the exact same role on the battlefield. The only time you're laughing with Dragon Princes is when you come up against things like Skaven players, especially if you have a Skaven player who loves warp flamethrowers.
Bastards.
Because then you just charge at them laughing.
Yeah. Okay. Shadow Warriors. You mentioned these earlier. So they have the same stats, I believe, that they did in 8th. Just check that real quick. It looks like they actually picked up an initiative, and the champion picked up a ballistic skill, which is good.
Yeah, because in 8th edition he had an attack bonus instead of a ballistic skill bonus, which made no sense.
Yeah. So these guys still skirmish, they still scout, they still hate Dark Elves, and they still do everything in WoP that they did in 8th. They used to be 14 points a model. Now they are 16 points a model. Ugh. What do they come with now for our...
they have hand weapon, elven longbow, and light armor as standard. The 2-point increase is quite clearly the armor piercing from elven longbow. And 6-up ward save. With the boosted initiative, you're more likely to get it. Scouts and skirmishers, these guys are your war machine hunters. Your lone wizard hunters. That's what these guys are doing.
Are you using these a lot?
I'm using them. They're just an irritation. That's what they're there to do.
They do skirmishing things, and they're annoying.
Yeah, the feign flight rule with skirmishers. Thank you, Matthias. Like, so much.
You know what I want on Shadow Warriors? Are throwing weapons.
Yes.
For 16 points, if you want me to pay 16 points a model, I want throwing weapons like gutter runners do, or any other manner of skirmishers.
Yeah, but these guys, the options you really get with them is the full command, additional hand weapons for 2 points, for a shield for a single point. So you can go back to the old 5th edition monopose Shadow Warriors with the shields if you really want to. Personally, I think the plastic kit that came out is far nicer.
I've got the Just Good ones, the old metal ones, and I've got the...
I've got both, yeah. And in a box of shame somewhere, I've got the old monopose metals, which will be lucky to see the light of day. I will paint them at some point just for completion's sake, because that's the sort of collector I am.
All right. But, well, so this is a. Is this a nerf, a buff, or is this just a lateral move?
Kind of a lateral move. Don't get me wrong, I'd still rather have the always strike first. Because every elf player is going to be salty about that for a while, but it needed to be done. For my group here, I was one of the big advocates for moving over to WAP because it became it took down the power balance that was so established from 8th.
Yeah.
And me being the high elf player and demanding to change over to WAP, that says something. But yeah, Shadow Warriors are still good. They're still skirmishers, they're still scouts, they still do all the things they need to do. They're just thematically they've got the longbows because that's what they've always had in lore, they've always had it in the books. Mm-hmm. But I'm with you. If I could take things like throwing daggers with them, I'd be happy.
Yeah. Okay, next, something that got, in my opinion, it is stronger than it was in 8th. You have Sisters of Avelorn. So they used to be...
They used to be a rare slot.
14 points a model in rare. They're now 18 points a model in special.
Oof.
I believe they have the same stats. No, they have one better initiative now.
Yeah, that seems to be the standard for a couple of the special units in High Elves. You can still only take a champion. Boo hiss.
I guess so. And so their shtick is their bows are strength 4, armor piercing, flaming, and magical. They have like all of the special rules.
Yeah. They're amazing.
And because they have bows, they can volley fire.
Yep.
Or not.
So they can get 2.
They can
2 shots. They can double tap. Yeah.
And at ballistic skill 5, they don't even notice that double tap at all.
No, they don't care. You want them to stand still. You want them to double tap.
Is there anything that a Sisters of Avelorn unit should not do? Like
charge.
Shoot. Even if they charge, their weapon skill 4.
Yeah, they're decent enough in it, but they should be shooting. If you've got them in combat, you're wasting their abilities. You want them to be shooting at anything with regen. Make your opponent cry. That help hit, you get 1 wound on that bugger, it ain't coming back.
Yep. So Sisters of Avelorn for me were always like the anti-ogre unit. Because the strength 4 means you're wounded on 4s, and you only got to do 1, and they're going to do a lot more than 1 wound anyway.
Yeah, with strength 4 armor piercing. For me, they were the ethereal clearers.
That too, yeah.
Having that unit of Hexrace gone, all those spirit hosts can be a big deal.
Yeah.
Then you're not wasting your magic dice just to get off a magic missile to get rid of something.
Yeah. All right, so to me, just the double tap alone buffed Sisters of Avelorn.
Yeah. I fully get the points increase. I get why they're 18 points. That double tap alone,
yeah,
they'd need to be increased in points.
You know what's interesting is you used to be able to take these in units of 5+. Now you have to take a unit of 10. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have the Sister of Avelorn's character, which is
no, it's actually a unit first.
Oh, why, yes, there is. Sorry, we're going to do a little throwback. This was a Handmaiden of the Everqueen. This is a 5th edition High Elf unit, right? 4th edition High Elf unit?
They are amazing. They cost you your spleen.
Both in game and in real life.
This is where I get to do one of those lovely flexes and say I've got a unit of 40. The only way you can do that is to literally pick them up in batches of 1 or 2 and just wait.
So, Sisters of Avelorn. I'm not Sisters of Avelorn. Handmaidens of the Everqueen. Weapon skill 5.
Yep.
Ballistic skill 5. Strength and toughness 3. 1 wound, 6 initiative, 1 attack, leadership 9.
Yep.
And the Queen's Guard is weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 6, 2 attacks, and leadership 9.
Yep, she be your champion.
So,
as a point with their equipment, they come with spears and light armor, but they come with the Bow of Avalon. They have the exact same rule as the sisters.
Yep. Okay.
So they have that magical flamey bow, which everyone hates, but they can also come with spears. They're a choice. They also have the fighting extra ranks.
Because of the spears?
Nope. In their special rules. Same
as the
spear.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
So these guys fight in 4 ranks. Girls, sorry. Martial prowess, quick to fire.
Okay.
These girls can pump out dice.
And they're 20 points a model.
They are very expensive.
Okay.
Minimum unit size 5. You've got the upgrades of the command, but this is where you can get in your Everqueen special items, your Horn of Isha, and your Standard of Avalon. This is where you get these in.
Okay. So the Banner of Avalon, what's it do?
So the Banner of Avalon is a spells from the Law of Light and spells from the Law of Life cast by a friendly wizard that targets a unit containing the Avalon receive a +2 bonus to cast. If Alariel the Radiant is included in your army is slain, this banner stops working.
Okay. So this banner costs 10 points.
Yep.
Wow.
In 8th edition, it was a lot more than that.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so that's good. And then the Horn of Isha, that's a 20-point upgrade for the musician.
Yep, it's a 1 use only. It can be used at the start of any of your movement phases. For the remainder of the turn, all models in the bearer's unit have a +1 bonus to hit for all shooting and close combat attacks.
Okay. See
so if you're
here, with a big unit of these.
If you're double tapping with the Bow of Avalon, and you've blown the Horn of Isha, and you've moved, you do not care.
Okay. Well, it's a hard sell on 20 points a model for me.
Oh god, yeah. Oh, it's a really hard sell. But for a themed army, an Avalon themed army, and you don't take these, I will manifest myself and slap you.
Have you taken these in a game?
Yes.
How many did you take?
10. I'm cheap.
And I assume did they get their points back?
I've yet to justify taking any bigger.
Did they get their points back in the game you played?
Oh yeah, they got it back.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm gonna have to find some Handmaidens of the Everqueen.
It was a struggle to get those points back, but I got them.
Okay. I've not tried them, so I mean, they feel expensive. That's all I'll say. They feel expensive.
They feel it, but if you're running an Avalon themed army and you stick the Everqueen in there, you just get feel good vibes.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Again, for me and my gaming group, we're all about the fluff play. So if you're gonna do it.
Okay. All right.
Next. Quick to fire helps them.
Phoenix Guard. So these guys were 15 points a model. Now they are 16 points a model. And they moved from special to rare. But now they kept heavy armor, so they still have a 4-up save.
Still got their Witness to Destiny.
Yeah, still have a 4-up ward save. They still have fear, and they still are leadership 9, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, there you should know.
So kind of the nice thing about Phoenix Guard in 8th edition, and so you had 3 good units: Swordmasters, White Lions, and Phoenix Guard, and they were all the same price except Phoenix Guard I think were 1 point more expensive, and it was always like a choose 2 out of the 3.
Well, Swordmasters and White Lions in special were both 13 points in 8th. And Phoenix Guards were 15, so they were 2 points more expensive, but they were the ultimate amble.
Yeah. So you always took Phoenix Guard if you were gonna take an amble, and you almost always chose White Lions over Swordmasters because of the stubborn. Now at 16 points a model and rare, I can't see myself taking Phoenix Guard like I used to, because I still want the Phoenixes, and
you still want the Frostheart Phoenix.
And
that's the big thing.
If you're Adam and you want to take Handmaidens of the Everqueen, you just won't have
in my Avelorn themed army. Thank you. If I had to choose between the Handmaidens of the Phoenix Guard, I probably would go Phoenix Guard more frequently. The ward save.
Sure. But so 16 points more, you got a 4-up save, your strength 4, and you're rerolling once to hit.
Yep.
I mean, they're not
heavy
bad.
armor. They've got
fear.
They've got all the elven abilities, martial prowess, Valor mages. They don't have, which is probably a typo, they do not have Elven Grace.
Well, they don't need it because they have the 4-up ward save.
Yeah, but I'd still stick it in there for they're an elf.
Because of elf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's just me grumbling because elf. They're good, but they take up rare points. Rare points are expensive in WAP, and there's other stuff you want to be using it on.
Okay, well, if you wanted to take a unit of egregiously expensive Phoenix Guard, and then spend some more money and buy an Anointed of Asuryan,
this is where they get good. This is where Phoenix Guard become very good.
Yeah, so you can take that 4-up ward save and make them, or allow them to reroll ones for that ward save.
Yep.
You also have immunity psychology to the extent that matters. The Anointed of Asuryan used to be
a Lord choice for a start.
Used to be 210 points.
Yep, he got downgraded to hero, and he's now 160 points. He can still be mounted on his phoenixes, which why would you do that?
Yeah.
Can still only take 50 points of magic item. In WAP, he cannot be your army general.
And why is that?
There is a note. Anointed of Asuryan can never be the army's general.
That sounds conclusive.
Yep. Comes with pole armor and heavy armor. The thing that makes this guy good is the Blessing of Asuryan rule.
Yes, I agree.
All models in a unit that contain an Anointed of Asuryan have the immunity psychology special rule, but the kicker is they may re-roll ward save results of a 1.
Yeah.
So if you've got a high mage nearby who's managed to get a spell off on and get that ward save boost, and you've got a 3-up ward save, you've got that ward save. Back in 8th, you could get it to 3, but in WAP it's capped at 4, so there's no real point. You're rerolling 1s, you're only really failing on 2s and 3s. That Phoenix Guard unit is staying around.
Yeah. It's good. It's big point investment.
Oh, gotcha.
But, I mean, you put an Anointed in there, you put a Crown of Command on them, or give them a Stubborn Banner or something. That unit will be there for the entire game. It's just it's expensive and it's rare, and you're going to go without something else if you take Phoenix Guard.
Yeah. That other thing is going to be something that's quite vital to the High Elves, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. Special.
Yay!
They are 60 points now. They used to be
70.
7. And now you can buy. Can you get 2 bolt throwers for 1 special slot? Is that how it is?
Give me a second. No.
No? Okay.
1 bolt thrower and 2 Sea Guard crew. That's it. You may take an additional Sea Guard crew, so you can get yourself some more additional wounds for 7 points. Which, to be honest, they used to be 70 points. I'll happily pay that 7 points to get a 3rd wound on my bolt thrower.
Yeah. They are exactly the same. Otherwise, you can either shoot the big shot or 6 small shots at strength 4. The big shot's at strength 6, right?
Yes.
Or 7.
Strength 6 armor piercing 1.
Yeah. Bolt throwers always have been, always will be a staple of probably every single High Elf army. Regardless of what edition, it does not matter. Absolute staples.
I have played High Elves for so long, and I take bolt throwers every single time, and every single time they do. Fuck all for me. I will guarantee that vital shot I need, those 6 bolts, I will roll 1s and 2s for all of them.
Well, you just need to take more bolt throwers.
I've run 4 of the damn things in an army and they've done nothing.
All right. Moving on, we have Phoenixes. So, you no longer
Before we
have...
move on to Phoenixes, we missed someone. We missed the Loremaster.
How did I miss... Oh. All right, well, we'll go back to Loremaster. How did I...
I just realised myself when I scrolled up to look at the points.
Okay.
For Lord of Asuryan.
So, yeah, definitely. Loremasters. Great weapon-wielding warrior mages. They are...
pretty decent model.
They're lords still, right? If I remember correctly.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I don't take them that often, to be honest, and I should, because they're actually quite good.
They're very good.
They're 230 points as a Lord choice. They come with a great weapon and heavy armor. They're armored mage. They're a level 2 magic user. They don't choose spells following the normal rules, but instead always know the 8 signature spells from the Lore of Battle magic in the Warhammer rulebook. They are really good for their points because those signature spells are not to be laughed at.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get Wisson's Wild Form is a great one.
Yeah.
Earthblood.
Miasma.
Oh my gosh. Spirit Leech.
Fireball.
Yeah. Like there's not a single bad signature spell.
You can get use out of all of them.
And you still get 100 points of magic items. You can take the Book of Hoeth here. It's kind of an easy one to take.
Ooh, that's an upgrade from 8th, because you used to only be able to take 50.
What's that?
In 8th, you could only take 50. Oh no, you could take 100 points as well in 8th. I've been handicapping myself for a while, because I only thought you could take 50. Oh well.
You need to fix that.
Oh well.
So
he doesn't need it.
I actually really like the idea of Loremasters because I like that your wizard plays a different role. Like he's not just a caster. Like you could put defensive armor on this guy and he could take a challenge.
Marching him in with Swordmasters, with the Swordmaster rule, he's then still initiative 7. He doesn't get the negatives. He gets a dodge. He gets 6 at ward save. If you pop license off on Swordmasters, they're no joke.
Yeah, they're not. And you could put them in a unit of spearmen or anything
warriors.
really. I've always been a big fan of the Loremasters, especially in Warhammer Armies project, where sometimes having a level 3 or 4 wizard is a liability. With how easily or how quickly you can blow yourself up.
Yeah, like I'm used to playing Warhammer for a lot of editions, and rolling that double 6 in previous editions, you cheered, and then 8th edition came around. It's like, yeah, you cheered, and then closely followed by the oh crap sensation.
Yeah.
And WAP brought back the exploding sixes, which was a great sensation. Until you look down, that first 3 or 4 dice you roll, there's a 1 sat in there, and you're suddenly going, oh, because the miscast table in WAP is far less forgiving than any other edition.
It is, and it's far less forgiving because the table is set in stone, and you're not really.
Yeah.
It's different because, like, when you miscast in 8th, there's a chance that you walk away with nothing.
Yeah, there's a chance you just blow it off and you don't care.
Yeah. And
in WAP, it's just purely the amount of dice you rolled, including the explosions. Yeah. And then you're rolling a d6 to figure out what you need.
If you roll more than 12, you just...
Your poor level 4 could blow himself up turn 1, and he's gone.
So, being a level 2, and only having a couple, having access to low-level spells to cast, where you're not going to be throwing a shitload of dice.
You'll be throwing 2-3 dice max.
Yeah. Well, you can only throw 4 dice max at a spell because you're on level 4.
Yeah. Unless you really, really, really want to fireball something, you're not really going to be throwing balls.
All right, let's get back to Phoenixes.
Yep.
So Phoenixes.
Sorry, poor Loremaster, we missed you.
Phoenixes, you used to be able to buy the baby Phoenix, the Flame Spire, for $225, or the big angry Granddaddy Phoenix, the Frostheart, for $240. Now they got nerfed.
Did you honestly ever see a Flame Spire used?
No. Now they are nerfed, and the Frostheart Phoenix is an upgrade to the Flame Spire Phoenix.
Yeah.
So you will only ever see one of these in most games because of the way.
Yeah, you don't get the dual Frostheart Phoenix run anymore. You used to get an 8th.
Yeah. Which is not a problem.
Any High Elf player that used to play that, I stare at you and say, Stilton, God damn you, Stilton.
This is your fault.
That is so much cheese. If you were relying on that, you were not the best tactician in the world.
So the Flame Spire Phoenix, what's his movement going to be? His fly movement?
His fly movement will be 8.
8. Okay, so he's fast. He's strength and toughness 5 at weapon skill 5 wounds, 3 up save, initiative 4. He's immune to flaming attacks. He has flaming attacks. He has magical attacks, and he has a 5 up ward. The attuned to magic has not changed.
No, still exactly the same. And his Phoenix Reborn is still the same.
Phoenix Reborn is still the same, and Wake of Fire, is that still the same? D6 strength 4 for stuff he flies over? I think that is.
Yep, I don't
know. And of course he has Thunder Stomp, or Stomp, because he's a monster.
Yeah.
The Frostheart upgrade gives him an additional weapon skill, an additional toughness, takes away an initiative, and for that you get a natural armor 5 and ice attacks.
So he's lost a point of strength in WAP. He was strength 6 in 8th, the Frostheart. Blizzard Aura is
-1 strength to anything in base contact with him.
Yeah. As a point, it has the ice attack special rule. So anything in base contact with this thing still gets always strike last.
Yeah.
It's no longer in the Blizzard Aura rule, it's in its just general ice attacks.
But so Blizzard Aura used to be -1 to hit for.
So Blizzard Aura in 8th used to just be always strike last and -1 strength. And in WAP it's now -1 strength, and the model has immunity ice attack special rule. But it gained the ice attack special rule, giving it always strike last in things in combat with it, in base contact with it. Like it looks like it's nerfed heavily in WAP.
Well, in 8th, you used to be able. People used to say that the Blizzard Aura would stack if you had multiple Frost Hearts, right?
Yeah.
It's been clarified in WAP. That's not a problem. Like you only get -1 strength once.
Yeah. Contact with one or more Frost Heart Phoenixes suffers -1 strength. That's it. No -2, no minus, because that was the old trick. You charge White Lions and then you flank charge or front charge with 2 Frost Heart Phoenixes to get that -2 strength you were fighting.
I still think they're incredibly good.
Oh yeah, God, they're amazing. They're just.
But you will never see more than one, and they are just tiny little bit worse than they used to be.
Because the Blizzard Aura in 8th was an enemy unit in base contacts, got always strike last. With the ice attack rules in WAP, it's things in base contact, individual models in base contact. It's only stuff actually touching the Frostheart Phoenix that gets the always strike last. It's not the whole enemy unit.
Okay. So this is a nerf. It's a nerf, but it's a much needed nerf. That's probably for the better.
Oh God, yeah. Frosthearts were auto includes in 8th. If you didn't include one, you were hammering yourself.
Okay, let's switch over to another monster. This is a new one.
Let's talk about the Sea Dragon.
Yeah. So this guy, movement 6, weapon skill 6, strength 5, toughness 5, 5 wounds, initiative 3, 5 attacks, leadership 7, aquatic, which doesn't matter, 3 up natural armor, and 4 up regen.
Yep, that's his saving grace.
So he doesn't fly. He's just movement 6. And
he crawls around on his big fat belly.
And his special thing is, in addition to his 5 attacks, he makes an extra attack at strength 7, initiative 1.
Yeah. Powerful tail.
These
guys are from the 6th edition Storm of Chaos book.
And they are 205 points. What do you think?
This is your rare choice for a themed Lothran list.
Yes, agreed.
This is where these guys come in. The regeneration 4 up is the saving grace for this thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't even give it a second glance.
What's aquatic do? And what that gives you?
You get all your rank bonuses if you're in aquatic terrain, which doesn't affect this. You still use steadfast while in aquatic terrain.
I got it right here. Aquatic.
That's if you're at. If you were asking a Lizardman player, they could probably tell you off the top of their head.
All right. Can move into any deep water on the table, otherwise deemed to have been impassable. Can march, flame rank bonus, and be steadfast even when in water. And if every model in a unit has aquatic, enemies shooting at it are at -1 to hit if it's in water.
If it's in the water.
So
yeah,
I'll be honest. I've not tried a Merworm ale. I feel like I'd rather have a Phoenix. Like I don't feel like a Merworm does anything special by comparison.
I've not tried one yet. I've got the model.
Yeah.
I've yet to paint it, so I haven't put it on the board yet. I want to try it. I'm going to try a Lothran themed list at some point with it in. Currently, my rare choices for Lothran lists have been taken up by the Lothran Skycutter. So,
yeah, I get it.
It's there because it was in the 6th edition Storm and Gales book. That's why it's there.
Well, let's talk about some mounts. So you got Elven Steeds, exactly the same.
Pony. Yay.
They're fast. Movement 9. Yep. Pegasi, movement 8, 2 wounds, toughness 4. It's a way to make a hero toughness 4. And
yeah, it's a way to make a noble toughness 4, and you suddenly get your Pegasus back, which we had in 5th and then lost for a while.
And you said Pegasus is going to be fly 9.
Yes. Pegasus
so it actually gets faster.
Pegasus will be fly 9. So while it's up in the air, it's fly 9, but on the floor, it's movement 8. So it still gets swift stride either way.
All right, then you got a unicorn, move 10.
So fast.
Toughness 4, 2 wounds, and magical attacks, MR2, and +1 strength on the charge.
Yeah, if they're impacted, the unicorns strength 5.
Yeah.
It's good.
You said most of the time that's a 50-point mount?
Yes, 50-point mark for your mage. It's expensive, but giving magic resistance to something like Dragon Princes can't be overlooked. Because then they suddenly get a 5 ward save against spells, and you get 2 additional dice to spell anything targeted at them. So.
Okay. All right. Great Eagles, both as a mount and as a unit.
Yeah, rare choice. They are 1+ rare choice in WAP with 50 points a model, which is the same as 8th. They get the same upgrades again, Shredding Talons and Swift Sense. So you can give them Swift Sense in WAP is +1 initiative. In 8th edition, it was always strike first. So you can make them initiative 5.
And is
Shredding Talons is armor facing 1.
Is this one of the units that was going to be? You can take units of them.
Yes. The Arcane changes now. You can take units of 1 to 3, and you may take 1 to 2 as a single rare choice.
Right.
They will also be fly 9.
Got it.
And their attack scope to 3 instead of 2.
So as a unit of 2, they become a redirector, right? Because
that's why he's doing
unit
it.
Strength 6.
As they stand now, before the Arcane changes, useless. I do not bother looking at them. The only time I either look at the Great Eagles is for a cheap flying mount for a mage.
Yeah.
Because it boosts them to toughness 4. So it might keep them alive a little bit longer.
Well, they needed to be nerfed.
They did. They were amazing in 8th.
Too good.
They were your go-to redirectors. 50.
50? So they used to be...
I think they used to be 50, didn't they?
They used to be 50.
Yeah.
Okay. But overall...
And if you really wanted to piss off your opponent, you took Swift Sense every time in 8th, because having an always strike first eagle to pop off to War Machine crew before they could attack you back, hilarious. But they'll be going up to attack 3, fly 9, and you could take up to 3 of them as a single unit, and you could take 2 of those units as a single rare choice. So it suddenly gives them a little bit more viability in WAP, whereas previously they were just one of these things that was amazing in previous editions, and now you're just like, well, go away.
Just making sure all stats are still the same.
But that is 100 points for a redirector.
Still, reavers do it better.
A lot better.
But you know what is nice is to have back the option to take Griffins, which are...
Well, they're actually viable now with that beautiful Island of Blood model, yeah.
Movement 6, weapon skill 5, strength and toughness 5, 4 wounds, initiative 4, 4 attacks, 7 leadership. It has stomp. It will you can buy an upgrade for devastating charge or AP1. That you could not take these in 8th edition.
Oh, they die. They died so quick in 8th.
you just wouldn't do it. Period. Let me see how much they were to take.
Back in 8th, there were 150 points in 8th without any upgrades.
Ugh. And how much are they now?
I'm just scrolling up. Well, a hero can't take them, a noble, but he can take a Pegasus. Where's the Lord? There he is. They are now 150 points.
Okay, so it's the same price. Excuse me. But you can actually protect it.
You triggered me.
And it's not a waste of points.
No, it's a monster now. It's useful.
And now, can you take just a wild feral griffin? Or do you have to
no,
have it?
It has to be mounted.
It has to be mounted. Okay. So I could actually see using this now. It's like a mini dragon if you can't afford a dragon.
The griffin will be fly 8.
Fly 8. Okay. All right. So that is all of the normal unit for the High Elves until we get to special characters.
Oof. Oof.
You want to cut it off there because it's got to be.
Yeah, we can do a part 2 for special characters and magic items because that is a episode in its own.
Yeah. All right, let's do that.